Hey guys, and thanks so much for joining me on my channel today. My name is Stephanie. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 recipes from my absolute favorite chef in the whole entire world, Ina Garten, aka Barefoot Contessa, aka Queen of Food Network. She is amazing. I love her, and I am so excited to be sharing these recipes with you guys. But before we hop into the video, I just wanted to let y'all know this is also a collab with Jen Chapin. She's one of my favorite YouTubers. If you don't know who Jen Chapin is, I mean, just like one word that I would use to describe her is powerhouse. Like, she literally does everything. She does hauls, she does like lifestyle, like day in the lives, get it all done. She does meal prep, she does what's for dinners. She literally does everything, and she does a fantastic job with all of it. She's a full-time working mom of 2 kids, and she still puts out great content every week. I feel like we all want to be Jen Chapin when we grow up and super organized and getting things together. But definitely go check her out. I will link her channel and her video below, and let's go ahead and get into this one. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to make for you guys is meatloaf. She has a couple different kinds, but this one is my favorite that she makes. The ingredients are simple, the method is simple, it's just perfect, and it's super delicious. Alright, so the first thing this recipe requires you to do is cut and cook some onions. I'm just making mine into a smaller dice. These will go into the meatloaf mixture. I love onions, but if you don't, or someone in your family isn't that big of a fan, I would kind of scale it back to maybe just 2 or 1, but that's totally up to you. I will, of course, have the recipe ingredients on the right-hand side of the screen, as you guys saw, and this time they're exactly as Ina Garten has written them, so you can get the full effect. But anyway, so what I'm doing here is I am just putting my onions in the pan. I'm going to cook them down until they're translucent. The recipe called for fresh thyme. I didn't have that, so I just used some Italian seasoning, which I know has thyme in it, and I just put some salt and pepper in there. I went ahead and cooked the onions down until they were translucent and added the tomato paste, the Worcestershire sauce, and some chicken broth. I let that flavor kind of soak into the onions a little bit, and I let them cool down because we will be putting eggs into our meatloaf mixture, and I didn't want them to cook because of the heat of the onions. So go ahead and set that aside once they are all cooked down, and we'll start on our meatloaf mixture. So to this bowl, I'm going to add my cooled and cooked onions, my beef, my eggs, and my breadcrumbs, and I'm just going to season with salt and pepper. Usually I season heavier, but I'm just trying to follow the recipes as close as I can, but these still turned out super flavorful. So I spared you the sight of me mixing these together. All I'm doing is I'm forming them into little individual mini meatloaves. When she made this, when I first saw her make this, she made a larger meatloaf, but I just approached this from kind of like a meal prep standpoint, where we would have some for dinner tonight, and then we would have 4 more through the rest of the week to take for lunch and stuff like that. I'm still working from home, but Josh does have to go into work, so it was nice to have these throughout the week. So I am just adding some ketchup to the tops of these. I'm going to spread it with a spatula and get them in the oven. One tip that she does give you is to put a pan of hot water in the oven with your meatloaf. That way the meat will not dry out, and it worked perfect for me. Alright, so they are out of the oven now. I went ahead and put this on a bed of mashed potatoes. We did have a salad on the side. Josh and I really enjoyed these. I even enjoyed them throughout the week, and it was such a nice thing to have already prepared. And on the flip side, if you have a larger family, this made 6 like good sized mini meatloafs. Like, I couldn't even finish my whole one. So this recipe works for everyone. It was so super delicious. It was quick. It was easy. Definitely awesome for weeknight dinner. Alright, so of course, you know, I had to try the mac and cheese. She's got like 5 different versions of mac and cheese, but we decided to do this one. This is a meatless meal. If you wanted to add some grilled chicken or something, you're more than welcome. But this is how we ate it, and I'm going to show you guys how I made it. So the first thing I did was I shredded my cheese. I did this in the food processor, and that's a trick that I learned from Ina herself. Super quick. Fresh grated cheese, you just put it in the top of your food processor and push it down, and it is so awesome how quickly it gets done. So the next thing I'm going to do is create the roux for our cheese sauce. So I've melted my butter and I'm whisking in my flour just to cook that down. I want to get all that raw flour taste out of it, so I just keep on, I know it looks bad, but I'm just scraping it around the pot. And then once I've gotten that going for a little bit, I'm going to start adding in milk slowly but surely. I'm going to add in a whole quart of milk, and you guys will see how the sauce comes together. So the reason we're putting the milk in little by little is so that we don't risk having any lumps in our beautiful sauce. No one wants a chunk of flour to bite down on, but I'm just going ahead and really whisking the life out of this, you guys. I mean, I had a little bit of arm muscle after this, but I am just going ahead and slowly adding in the milk and just making sure that we have a smooth and silky sauce. And once that's all put together, I'm going to go ahead and add in my cheese. So I just decided to add my cheese in 2 different batches. I just wanted a little chance to make sure that I was working in the cheese so that it wouldn't be in big clumps. But you'll see I switched from my little whisk to a spatula just to smooth things out, and it was getting stuck. So I had to say goodbye to my super colorful and fun whisk and just use a spatula for the rest of the cheese. But it all blended beautifully, and it makes such a luxurious and delicious sauce. So I just wanted to make note here while I'm stirring in this cheese that Gruyere can be kind of a strong cheese. It's boldly flavored, so it's like a little, it's not, I wouldn't say sharp, but it's definitely like an intense cheese. So if you're making this for your family with like young kids or something like that, you might just want to use just like fully cheddar or some other kind of light and kind of milder cheese. But that was just a thought, just in case, because this does taste like very much like Gruyere, and Gruyere can be a little intense sometimes. So as you can see, I did go ahead and throw my drained pasta into the sauce. I'm going to top it with some tomatoes, which is what she did. I only had the small ones. She also put breadcrumbs on hers, and I totally forgot that step. But I just popped this in the oven for about 20 minutes, and I'll show you what it looked like when I got it out. There it is, so beautiful. I went ahead and put some parsley on it to make it look jazzy. But yeah, this is pretty much it. I do feel bad that I definitely forgot the breadcrumb step, but I think this was just fine without it. She also transferred hers to a baking dish, but I could just bake it in this, so I just skipped that. But you know, if you're like taking it somewhere or something like that, definitely feel free to do so. This fed an army. Oh my gosh, my mom, my sister, me. I sent some home with some friends. I sent some home with my mom for dinner or lunch the next day. This fed a ton of people. It was super good. Oh, look how yummy inside. I love mac and cheese. So the next dish we have is her chicken piccata. This might have been my favorite dish because I just love a good chicken cutlet. And I know you're thinking, where are the capers? I don't know, but I don't miss them. But I do know this is fabulous, and I'll show you guys how I made it. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bread my chicken cutlets. She did use chicken breasts and just pounded them out, but I skipped a step and just got chicken cutlets. This recipe is just for 2, so if you want to go ahead and double and triple this recipe depending on the size of your family, definitely go ahead and do so. I definitely think that there's enough sauce made though for at least 6 chicken cutlets, so don't worry about that, but definitely double up on the eggs, the flour, and the breadcrumbs. I just went ahead and breaded these and both of them and got them into a pan with some hot olive oil so they can get to cooking. So I just went ahead and let these cook here. I had this on medium and I had these in the pan for about 5 minutes per side. It just depends on the thickness of your chicken cutlets. But once I had these fully cooked, I went ahead and set them aside and started on the pan sauce. I have 3 tablespoons of butter melting here, and I put in my lemon juice and my white wine, and I put in my actual lemons, which is something that she says to do. I'm not crazy. But I went ahead and added some salt and pepper, and I'm letting this reduce down so it can thicken up a little bit for when we put it over our chicken. All right, so I've just got 2 lemon slices on top of my chicken, and I'm gonna go ahead and put some sauce over it. It didn't thicken up that much, but the flavor was there, so you could definitely add some like cornstarch or something if you want to thicken it up, but I kind of liked how light it was. It didn't really make the chicken soggy. It was just like, I don't know, it was really, really good. I just served this over some spinach rice pilaf that I made, and it was just fabulous, you guys. Oh my gosh, I loved it. I loved it so much. Josh loved it, and it was so simple and so easy. The whole dish was done in like 25 minutes, maybe 30, but it was so good. Alright guys, so this is a breakfast for dinner one. This is her roasted vegetable frittata. It is another meatless one, but you can definitely add bacon, sausage, ham, or something like that to bulk it up a little bit, and I'll show you guys how I made it. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my vegetables taken care of first because they take the longest. I'm just cutting these up into like sizes and putting them in this bowl. I'm going to toss them with some seasonings and some olive oil. I'm going to go ahead and put them out on a sheet pan and roast them in the oven at 425 for about 30 minutes. Halfway through, I'm going to go ahead and add in my garlic so that the garlic doesn't burn. And then I'll get started on the egg mixture. So I've got 12 eggs here. I just put them in the same bowl that I had my vegetables in because there was just salt and pepper and a little bit of olive oil in there. But I'm going to go ahead and beat the living daylights out of them because I have to break the yolks. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in my half and half. I had heavy cream and I had milk, so I just did literally half and half of a cup of heavy cream and milk. And then I had some Parmesan cheese, and I went ahead and of course seasoned it with salt and pepper. And that is the egg mixture. So now that my veggies are out of the oven, I can go ahead and get started on getting this frittata in the oven as well. So I went ahead and chopped up 3 scallions, the greens and the whites, and I've got them in the bottom of this pan here. I'm also going to be adding my roasted vegetables here. I know this is going to look crazy in a little bit because it's going to get really full. This is a 10-inch pan, but don't panic. This is exactly what it needs to be so that the frittata can cook evenly. Alright, so now that we've got everything incorporated, we're going to go ahead and add in our eggs. Again, this is a 10-inch pan, and make sure it is an oven-safe pan. We're going to be cooking this at 350, so it needs to be safe up to at least 350. And you guys, when we put this in the oven, you're not going to believe what comes out. It's amazing. You guys, I literally could not believe my eyes when I took this thing out. It is beautiful. It's golden brown. It's amazing. She says to put cheese on there, so I put a little bit like of Italian blend cheese, but I just didn't want to cover up all the like gorgeous colors of these veggies. So I did put a little bit of cheese on there, but other than that, that was it. This looked, oh, it was so good. I just can't even, you guys. Like, I was so excited that I actually made a frittata. I just never thought that would be something that I would make, but it's always fun to like try new things and like really know what you're capable of. And this was absolutely delicious. It made so much. Again, I sent some home with my mom. I gave some to my sister to have. I gave some, Josh had some. He ate some for dinner 2 nights. He just loved it. We all loved it. It was so good. So last but definitely not least is Ina's Weeknight Bolognese. This was so delicious and so quick. Definitely one of the favorites of the week, and I'll show you guys how I made it. Alright, so once my meat is all nice and brown, I'm going to go ahead and add in my garlic, my oregano, my red chili flake, and salt and pepper. Then once I've stirred that in, I'm going to add in my tomato paste and the crushed tomatoes. I am using some garlic cubes because I ran out of fresh garlic. Don't tell Ina. Store-bought is fine, guys. I just had to do what I had to do, but I do like those garlic cubes. If you ever find them, they're frozen, they're fresh, and they're really, really good. So like I said, I've got my tomato paste in here, and I'm going to add in my red wine. I did put a little bit of beef broth in there because I was low on the red wine. Again, don't tell Ina. But it was good wine, you guys, I promise. And I'm sure none of these jokes make any sense to you if you're not an Ina watcher, so I'm sorry. But Barefoot Contessa is she's just the best. Anyway, so I've put in my crushed tomatoes. I let that simmer for a little bit. I added in a little bit of cream, and now I'm pouring it over my orecchiette pasta. Very sloppily, unfortunately. But it was so good, you guys. Oh my gosh. I just can't. It was so, so good. We loved it. It was fabulous. It was somehow light. Even though it was a meat sauce, it wasn't like heavy. It was just perfect. We absolutely loved it. So I went ahead and mixed this all in together. I added in some freshly chopped basil, and then I added in some Parmesan cheese on top, and that was it. What did I tell you guys? Look how beautiful this looks. It was so super delicious, you guys. We loved it. I also love that it wasn't a big deal if you don't have a jar of pasta sauce, you can make this. We just used that can of crushed tomatoes, and it was somehow transformed into this beauty of a sauce. And it just had that slow simmered taste, even though it wasn't. It was made in under half an hour. It truly was a weeknight bolognese, and it was just so delicious and perfect. We loved it. Alright friends, that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys got some super delicious Barefoot Contessa style dinner inspiration. We loved every single one of these recipes. They were all so delicious and flavorful and amazing. If you are here from Jen's channel, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll stick around. I hope everybody makes at least one of these dishes at home. If you do, or if you know which one you'd like to make, let me know in the comments below. Definitely don't forget to check out Jen's channel and her video below. I cannot wait to see what she made. I love you all. I hope you have a super awesome and blessed week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!